Welcome back to the Startempire Wire Founders Podcast. In this podcast, we sit down with Kay Yang, who is the founder of Tinker the Robot, where they are sparking innovation. Kay has done something amazing and put all of the information that's in her brain into a curriculum that teaches young innovators how to build robotics, start a business, really cool stuff. And the curriculum is very affordable. You want to check out her startup called Tinker the Robot. She does in-person events. She partners with people in the community. Kay is actually also the most recent winner of the Riverside Innovation Month Pitch competition, which was at Riverside Excite, the regional pitch competition. So she came in second place, and I believe it was $2,000 check or a $1,000 check, which is really awesome. Just to know that people, out of the 5 people who pitched, she came in second. So take time, listen to what Kay has to say. And if you're interested in her startup, make sure that you connect with her in all the places where she can be found. Peace. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for tuning in to the Startempire Wire Founders Podcast. Today, we have Kay Yang, the founder of Tinker the Robot. And there she got, so Kay, give us an introduction of yourself. I'll let you go ahead and do that introduction. Take that away.
So my name is Kay, like Various said, Kay like the letter. I am an engineer. I love building, tinkering, and just making stuff. And so that inspired me to create Tinker the Robot, where we create kits that spark the engineer in your child.
So awesome. All right, so give us a little bit of a personal introduction of yourself. Like, where did you grow up? What led you to the place where you wanted to be an entrepreneur and create the startup that you've created?
Yeah, so I I was born in Monterey Park, so not very far from Riverside. Grew up in the San Gabriel Valley, 626.
626.
Went to school in Pasadena and San Gabriel, ate a lot of boba, milk tea, stuff like that. Always loved building, and actually wanted to go into theater for college. But for some random reason, accidentally fell into bioengineering because I wanted to become a doctor because I'm
nice.
Asian. And I actually was really interested in traditional Chinese medicine.
Oh.
I took a semester in traditional Chinese medicine, focusing on acupuncture, when I discovered I don't like touching people.
Wow.
So it's really funny. I was doing acupuncture, and you know how when you do acupuncture, the needles are supposed to stick perpendicular to your body. Yes. Mine always slightly deflated, which isn't good. So with that, I kind of rethought what I was interested in. Really just loved building. Just loved getting my hands dirty. Loved hot gluing, always loved tinkering, so fell into mechanical engineering and just never looked back. So always enjoyed building robots. I've done projects for the Department of Defense in biotechnology. I've done stuff in aerospace, done stuff in clean tech and consumer products and theme parks. And all of that knowledge inspired me to create something to get kids excited about this technology. Couldn't really find anything that blended like the excitement I felt with teaching real concepts, so I decided to create my own product and then launched Tinker the Robot.
That's so awesome. Okay, so Kay, give us a little bit more of an in-depth origin of Tinker the Robot. Tell us, the unique circumstances that caused the birth of that idea.
So, I became an engineer because that's what my dad and I did on the weekend. So my parents divorced when I was 5, and I would spend every other weekend with my dad. My dad was a physics major turned accountant, but always loved asking questions, always loved building and creating. So I remember very vividly, every weekend I was with him, we would always have some form of DIY project, whether it be building kind of like a hack together pulley system for my Barbie dream house, or we were modifying an RC car to go faster. We were always building and always tinkering. And so seeing his love of creating, seeing that he didn't always know the answers, but was curious and excited about going to the library, going to a hobby shop, going to Home Depot, asking questions, figuring out the solution, really excited me and drove me towards engineering. And I would say built up my confidence to pursue that as a profession. And so I personally believe that those types of moments that you share with someone who is a mentor, someone who can guide you and ask questions with you, was a huge part of me becoming an engineer. And throughout my journey as an engineer, I've talked to, hundreds of fellow female engineers, asking them, what inspired you to become an engineer? And oftentimes it's a similar mentor. And so with that in mind, I wanted to create a kit where two people could work together, have conversation, do a physical build together, and learn together. And so that's really what inspired all our kits. So all our kits, though they can be done with one person, they're really meant to be done with two. And the idea is to spark conversation and have discussions over these topics. Because you're not going to be spoon-fed information. The idea is for you to learn some theory, do an experiment, and then test those ideas.
I think we learn better together. That's really, I love the idea of that, and do you have like something to show us, some type?
Yes. So what really excited me about Tinker the Robot and being able to kind of create this product was I unleashed my inner 10-year-old Kay. So the Kay that loves wearing shiny tutu dresses. Not to lie, I still love wearing those. But like, what would the 10-year-old version of me really respond to and be excited about? And so I took engineering concepts and turned them into basically interactive graphic novels starring our two characters, Tinker, a robot, and Sputnik, a brontosaurus. And they're a time-traveling duo.
Wow.
Where they travel back in time, they meet a scientist or an engineer and learn about those concepts through a physical build with that innovator. And so this is what our books look like. This is our programming book.
Okay.
And I love the robot we chose here because, of course, you meet Ada Lovelace in robot form.
Yes.
And this is Tinker and Sputnik.
Oh, that's so cool.
I'm going to share with you my favorite inventor. It's for our motors book.
Really? Okay.
And she's so cool. Her name is Emily Davenport, and there she is.
Hey.
Isn't
Yes.
awesome?
She is cool.
She's cool. And so she's actually one of the co-inventors of the first electric motor. And her contribution is so awesome because it was back in the 1800s and they didn't have insulation for wire.
Yes.
That's what she did.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she actually ripped pieces of silk off of her wedding dress.
Wait, really?
And isn't that awesome?
That's pretty cool. No, that's cool.
And she used that as insulation for the first electric motor.
I love history lessons. And so you're combining the education of electronics with history of how it came about. I love that. I mean, because I of course I've heard of Ada Lovelace, but I had never heard of Emily Davenport before. So I might need to grab some Tinker the Robot books for myself.
It's so funny you say that because we have parents that have looked through this and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to buy this and my child will kind of do this with me.
It's great. I don't know if this interview will be out by this time, but on October the 3rd, there's actually an event happening this weekend for like robotics, and it's called C3 Expo. I may need to tell you a little bit more about it after the interview, because they always looking for new help and new information, and like something that you're doing has some synergies with it, you know. And we'll get back to that. So I also taught a robotic class, you know.
We talked about that, the Arduino stuff.
Arduino is a big hobby of mine, but I never got as much into it as I want to, because of, you know, my agency that I run, a web development agency, and just my own life business and all this stuff. So, but doing, you know, teaching the kids about the basics about electronics and circuits and things like that, I mean, it's so fun, you know? So
it's so awesome.
So tell me, how did you come up, you know, simplify the concepts enough to bring them to the audience you're bringing them to?
Yeah, I'll share with you what inspired this series. So this is a 5-month series called the Robot Build Series.
Okay.
And 10 years into my career, I went and got my master's in engineering, specializing in robotics.
Okay.
And I took the most amazing class. It was a mechatronics class, and it was amazing because it was essentially, here are a bunch of projects, let's build them, and by the way, here's kind of a little bit of theory on how you do it.
Wow.
So I remember having so much fun figuring out the builds, and I was like, why isn't this how we teach engineering? And then we got hit with the vector calculus, and I remembered why. But then I thought, well, these are all concepts that could basically be understood by any age once you take out the math, right?
Yes.
So that's the foundation. So instead of starting with the math, we start with a simple step-by-step build that essentially gets kids going, you know, builds their confidence, gives them a eureka moment, a win, and then we layer on the concept and the theory, and then they accidentally learn some pretty interesting engineering. And then depending on the age, we provide parents with different ways of applying the math. So if you're younger, maybe you're just adding resistors, right?
Yes.
But then as you get older, maybe you're doing them in series, maybe you're doing them parallel, so you're adding division and multiplication. And then we can build up through trigonometry and then eventually to calculus. So there are different ways to scale it depending on the level of the child.
I love it. I love the way, you know, you give it a kind of a stepwise approach. That's pretty awesome. So, okay, we talked a little bit about the needs your startup meets, and would you like to go in depth with that a little bit more?
So there's a huge interest, I think, in kids to learn engineering. They see the future, right? They want to be able to build. They know these tools are accessible. They're not as expensive as it used to be. And there are tons of ways for kids to exercise their creativity by learning these tools. And the only tricky part is that a lot of engineering content, because of the math, isn't taught until, you know, upper level high school or college. When really what we could do is we could kind of rethink these concepts and think about how can we make them accessible to a younger child. And so my current kits are for 10 plus because there is a little bit of algebra.
Okay.
And now I'm working on kits for 4 years old and older, and the idea is for just to get kids playing, tinkering, and learning some vocabulary. So wouldn't it be cool if a kid like picked up a screwdriver and was like, I need a Phillips.
Yeah.
Well, I need an
Absolutely.
It'd be awesome. And why couldn't they, right? Because those are concepts that could be easily understood just like regular vocabulary, except they just happen to be learning mechanical engineering.
That's so cool. I love it. The Inland Empire startup ecosystem industry is tremendously fragmented. A few top-tier hubs, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego, are well covered by media, events, and data platforms. Finding reliable information relevant to startups or the tech industry in the Inland Empire is extremely difficult. As a result, startups can't scale fast enough. Investors are having a hard time finding the right deals, and corporates can't find the right companies to partner with for their innovation activities. Startempire Wire, the leading Inland Empire startup publication, is providing the Inland Empire startup ecosystem with the most accurate, engaging business and financial data, events, and news. Our reach of entrepreneurs, C-level executives, angels, VC investors, startup employees, key management at innovative corporates, and big tech is the solution for your B2B or B2C needs. As we build out our platform, we're looking for partners. This is your opportunity to get in on the ground level. If you're looking to align yourself with the local and growing startup and tech ecosystem of the Inland Empire, we have created the platform to get your name noticed and the opportunity for you to grow the recognition of your brand. Contact us today for availability and pricing options. We look forward to our partnership with you. And I think the younger you can get them understanding like those basic concepts of mechanical engineering or electrical engineering, oh my goodness, that's like, you're gonna have some smart kids there.
Yeah, and think of how empowering it is, because I feel like I didn't even know what an engineer was until I was maybe into my freshman, sophomore year of college. And at the time I just was thinking, oh, I'm gonna maybe build some big machines. Little did I know, engineering can be applied to anything from, manufacturing toys all the way to, making sure your food is properly prepared. So it's something that is very versatile, right?
Yes.
And I think it's about exposing kids, exposing people to these different options. So maybe they don't want to become an engineer, but at least they haven't ruled it out, or they don't think that they think that they can't, Right,
and engineering concepts can apply to different areas of life, and so exactly. I love that, and you're just teaching them to think systematically like an engineer.
Exactly. So ultimately, I think what we're doing is we're teaching them a system for problem solving.
Yes.
So kind of the backbone of everything we're teaching them is the scientific method. When you think about it, like, you use the scientific method when you're searching for something on Amazon, right?
Correct.
You have a question you're asking, you kind of have a theory of what you want, and then you kind of look at Amazon reviews to figure out what you want, and then you finally purchase. So it's just a systematic way of reaching a conclusion.
I love it. Okay, so tell us a little bit about like the growth of Tinkerbot. Where'd you start? What are some of the growing pains? How long did it take you to get there? And where are you at now?
So we've definitely had a slow growth. I've been tinkering with this idea for a while.
I love it.
Because I always love the idea of, getting kids excited. And then went on a brief hiatus for a while when I took a full-time job, and then came back. And so we actually launched our main line right before the pandemic hit, and had been working on that since.
Smart. Yeah.
Completely accidentally.
Wow.
But now we're seeing traction, because we're seeing people that like the product, and then they're telling other people about the product. And we're also working with a lot of other companies and nonprofits to deliver content in this format to groups that wouldn't normally get to see technology. So it's really exciting to be able to translate, concepts that you wouldn't normally see until high school or college, into something that's a little bit more accessible for a small child in elementary school, and then to see them thinking about, oh, maybe this is something I want to do in the future. That's
so cool. So at this point, you're actually like testing the market and you have a product that's already out, and what level of growth are you guys experiencing versus where you want to be?
Yeah, I would say we're currently just figuring out product market fit. So we have two main channels we're going for. One is with homeschool families.
Okay.
So homeschool families with kids that are interested in engineering, that want to explore it as a possible career path, would be the families that would be interested in our product. So we've slowly figured out the language and how to reach that audience, and now we're just figuring out how to grow beyond Southern California. So that's one channel. The second channel is the partnerships channels, which is just started during the pandemic, where we work with nonprofits, specifically like the Central Library of LA, where we create a kit. We actually send the kits to families, and then we run a STEM program with them. So with them, we ran two programs. One was electronics for beginners. So it was a 5-week program where kids learned about voltage, current, resistance while building circuits. And then their final project was building a little wind-powered motor. We also did, it was so cool. And then we did another series with them, which was teaching kids about renewable energy.
Oh, yeah.
And so with this was also a 5-week program where week number 1, they had to manually generate energy with a little crank.
Wow.
And then they were measuring how much power they were generating.
Oh, that's so cool.
It was really cool. So we had a bunch of kids like, woo!
I love it.
And then the second week, we had them learn about wind power. Well, they took the same setup, but they built
turbines.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then they put it in front of a fan, and then they tried to make it spin to generate as much energy as they could, as much power as they could.
I love it.
And
yes.
so the task for them was, we gave them like a generic fin to work with, but we wanted to see what they could do at home. So we had these kids with like huge fins, like literally like this big, like 12 inches long.
Wow.
Like, huge. This is the brightness of Amazon boxes, right?
Yes.
And then they were telling us like we were getting like this amazing output. It was really great. Week 3, we had them do the same thing but with hydropower.
Oh.
So they had to basically create different fins and then have it spin to generate more energy.
Yes.
Week 4 was solar panels.
Nice.
They were given a little solar panel, and they had to figure out, where do they want to place it to generate the most amount of power.
Okay.
And then week 5 was, of course, my favorite. We unleashed them and said, hey, now create your own item that is powered by renewable energy.
Nice.
And so we had kids submit a 2-minute video of them. They would build out cardboard prototypes and speak to what they created.
Wow. I love it.
It was such a great program.
That's so cool. So do you guys have like, maybe like, I don't know, did you create videos of it or something like that?
Yeah, we had I think we had like 40 submissions from
Wow.
And
that's so cool.
We had these like 2-minute videos, and it was awesome. Like this one kid, I loved his project. There were 2 projects that I loved especially, so I'm going to share them with you.
Yes.
One of them, he built a cardboard Lego picker-upper, and it was literally like, 14 inches tall. It didn't actually function.
Okay.
But what he did was he built a little fin on the bottom. So when you rolled it, it would actually like pick up Legos. It was so cool. It's like, what?
The imagination. I love it. Yeah.
And then this other kid, I loved what he did. He took a piece of cardboard this big, and he was like, I created the iPhone 14.
Ha!
I know, he was like way out of his time. He said, one side is a solar panel, so you don't have to charge it.
Come on, Apple.
I know, come on. 14's coming out soon. Get on it. And then he said, like, it was so cute because he was like, and of course it has 7 cameras because it's the iPhone 14. I was like, yes. Yes.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so awesome. I love kids. What age groups were they?
We had 5+.
5+. Okay, that's great. Oh, that's beautiful. All right, so you guys are already seeing amazing results with the test groups. I don't know if you would call them cohorts, but the market that you're testing it in. So, what would you say would be like some of like your most pressing needs at this moment, and like how are you seeking to like address those current needs?
Yeah, so I think right now it's just getting the word out. So
Okay.
before we're limited by geography. So let me start there.
Okay.
So because pre-COVID, the way we reached out was we would go to in-person vendor fairs and actually be able to talk to our potential customers, show them the product, get them excited, and then they would purchase. And so we were lucky in that a lot of that great interaction kind of flowed over.
Yes.
But we can only go so far physically, right? Since I live in Upland. So now the question is, how do we expand to maybe NorCal, maybe to Arizona? So how do we get larger geographically? And so now I'm trying to think about, how do we maintain that interaction, that live component where we get to know our customers, we get to talk to them, we get to actually interact with them, but we do it on a larger scale.
Press coverage?
I think it's going to be that. It's probably going to be press coverage, or we're going to need to maybe find ambassadors ourselves that are excited about our product and want to go out and talk about it.
That's a really good thing, like some type of a street team or a group of ambassadors. So, that's a great idea. So have you guys obviously been thinking about the ambassador thing a little bit. Have you finalized a program that would involve ambassadors in some way?
So right now I'm still testing. I have a few ambassadors in San Diego and also in kind of like Bakersfield area.
Okay.
So I don't have a specific, I guess, like program out yet.
Yes.
It's more along the lines of like, hey, let's figure out what you're doing, what you enjoy doing, and how do we incentivize you and make it a valuable option for you. So right now it's still in the beginnings of figuring out what it is before we roll it out larger. Okay.
Well, keep us updated on how that goes. So, what about your very outside of the ambassadors? What are your very immediate goals?
I think it's just to maintain what we're doing. I love the interaction we have with our current customers. So, a lot of them, I'm like Facebook friends with the moms, and we talk, and I'm able to get really great feedback. So right now, my focus is just making the product as good as possible. Because I want it to be really strong. I want people to have a great experience before we kind of roll it out further.
Okay. What version are you guys on of the product?
Yeah, right now it's version 2.
Version 2. Okay. Very cool. So 3 years, 5 years.
Wow.
10 years. Where do you see Tinker the Robot?
Yeah. So 3 years. So just geographically, I'd like to see us ideally all over like the west side of the US.
Yeah. Okay.
So that would be ideal. And then like probably 5 years, maybe half of the US, and then 10 throughout the US. In terms of like being able to work with different families.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, have you worked with like private schools or charter schools or anything like that?
No private schools yet. Mostly charter schools.
Okay.
So that's been actually really great for us because a lot of charter schools allow flexibility for their curriculum. And so what a lot of parents do is they take our curriculum, for lack of a better word, and just like you said, they turn it into a history lesson. they turn it into
love
an
it.
English lesson because they ask their child to then write an essay about what they learned. Then they have them do a presentation on it. So then they use it as a strong foundation to then build up these other subjects that they can then teach off of.
That's great. All right, so you said 5 years, half of the years, 10 years, the complete national USA.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, just thinking geographically, I feel
Geographically.
like is an easy way to kind of slowly grow.
So what about the evolution of your offering? Would you change that in any way? 3 years, 5 years, 10 years?
Definitely. So I think 3 years we want to stick with what we have now for the ages 10 plus, and then offer a age 4 plus version.
Okay.
And then maybe even more like a high school version as well. So then we can introduce kids to the subject early long, and then have them kind of grow with the product. And so the way our product is structured is, so we have the robot build series, which is a 5-month series, and it's designed to be 5 months because it's how long a semester is. So the kids get a box each month with a lab notebook, so one of these notebooks.
What does the box look like?
Oh, where does the box look like? Great question. I don't have one here to show you. Oh, I do. Hang on one second. I'm gonna
Okay, yeah.
So this is our box.
Oh, very, very nice. I love it. It's really great packaging.
Thank you. So each month you get one of these boxes. It comes with your lab notebook.
Okay.
And all the supplies you need, including screwdrivers.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, because I can never find a screwdriver, so I want to make sure you can find the appropriate screwdriver.
So they get a screwdriver every month?
They get a screwdriver for the 4th month, because that's the only one. That's the only month you need a screwdriver.
Okay.
And you get a. Oh, I don't have the screwdriver here. But you get a full-fledged. It's like a real screwdriver.
What are all the components that comes with it?
Yeah. So month 1 is. So let me back up a little bit. So there's 5 months. Each month you are introduced to one discipline of engineering, and then the final build is an autonomous robot, where you're using components from each month to build an autonomous robot.
Nice.
So month 1 is electronics. So you're building with breadboards. You get a multimeter. You get goggles. It's essentially like the Electronics 101 class.
I love it. It's so great.
Yeah, month 2 is programming. So it's Arduino programming, and then you're essentially adding some smarts to the circuits you built in month 1.
Okay.
So it's layered on top.
I love it. Yes.
Month 3 is sensors. So then you're plugging in sensors and being able to read the environment. So we do this, and you also program a speaker.
Okay.
So your final build is actually a theremin.
Okay.
So
Wow.
You use a photoresistor to detect light, where you're able to detect your arm movements, and you translate that into a sound. So you build a theremin that way.
This is so great. Yeah. It's so geeky. I love it.
Month 4 is motors, and you actually learn about like a motor driver. You build your own motor driver, and then you plug in the motors, and then you make your robot basically go through a maze that you've made yourself.
Wow.
So that's where the screwdriver comes in.
Okay.
And then month 5 is touching upon biomimicry, where you learn about ultrasonic sensors, and then you build your autonomous robot.
Cool. Are you guys currently offering online versions of your curriculum as well?
Yeah. So every month actually comes with let me show you. It comes with a QR code.
Oh, smashing.
And so the QR code actually links you to videos, articles, solutions to the questions, code, all of that, so that you're not left in the dark. It's a great way to kind of have support, and then be able to have that support as you need.
That is so. I love it because you connect everything in, and I'm a big believer in the web. So, using QR codes, the gateway of the web, you bring in that solution right there to them. I love it, and it also gives it a feeling of completeness. The product you're offering. It's so great.
It's fun.
So, okay, we said 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Okay, so, and did we state your current needs, like where you're at as a startup, your needs? What are your current needs? Did we state that already?
Yes.
Okay, great. So where can people find you online? Tinker the Robot. Tell us your personal profiles, your professional profiles, all of the above.
Yeah, so Tinker the Robot will link you to everything that has to do with us. So we have a website, we have Facebook, Instagram, all that magical stuff. If you want to talk to me, you can go on our Facebook page and send a message. I will be that person to answer it.
Cool.
So you can talk to me directly. If you want to be a little bit more personal, I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook as Kay Yang. You can check out my awesome pictures of me and all my food I eat.
Awesome. Kay, I really appreciate the time. I'm such a geek. I love this so much. I'm probably gonna buy Tinker the Robot for myself and pretend like I have kids.
Unleash your inner 10-year-old. I feel like that's the slogan.
Yeah, it awakens my inner 10-year-old for sure. And I really appreciate you for coming on to the Founders Podcast. I really think that a lot of people who may not have heard of you here in the Inland Empire should know you. They should connect with you. They should, investors, if you guys are looking for investors, are you looking for investors?
Not at the moment, but always
not
open
at the
to
moment.
Conversation.
Always open for the conversation. Investors, if you want to start a conversation with Kay, contact her as well. And people who have children who want to get them into robotics, or really, it's not even about getting them into robotics. It's just giving them another level of knowledge. I think that's valuable in that thinking, the problem-solving thinking, engineering thinking. By Tinker the Robot. So, once again, thank you for coming here, Kay. And audience, thank you for watching the Startempire Wire Founders Podcast. See you next time.